Hi everyone, welcome to BullCaster, a talk show for all the crypto bulls. Here we are to discuss the most exciting industry topics with the best industry experts, influencers, and remarkable personalities. I'm Constantin Kogan, co-founder of BullPerks, and we're excited to welcome here today Tom Fleetham, a co-host of Fanzone podcast, head of business development at Zilliqa, previously led IBM Sports and Entertainment Division. Tom, good to have you here.
Hey, yeah, great to be here. Hi, Constantine. Hi, everyone. How you doing?
We're doing great, and it's on the one hand, like we're trying to stay positive with all the crazy events happening in the world, and we're here to bring a little bit more, like this energy of positivity, right, and to learn from you. So, without further ado, can you briefly introduce yourself, to our audience, and maybe talk a little bit about how did you get into the crypto rabbit hole?
Yeah, of course, no problem. I'll try and be as positive as I can. I won't touch on global events, but we'll focus on the Web3 part. So I first got into crypto back in 2017. I actually discovered it through online poker. So I was playing a lot of poker in those days, listening to a lot of poker content, and heard about this thing called Bitcoin that players in the US were using as a way to transfer value around in a way that didn't get them in trouble in America. And at about the same time, coincidentally, I started a new role leading IBM's Sport and Entertainment division in the UK. And I was working with brands like Liverpool Football Club, St Andrews Golf, England Rugby, and they all faced the same two problems. So, number one, they had millions of international fans, but no real way to engage them or monetize that audience. And they were all really scared of the next generation not being as big as sports fans as the previous one. And somewhere along the line, probably about the time NBA Top Shot happened and the NFT boom happened, it occurred to me that it's clear to me that Web3 is going to be the answer. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. And so that led me to take the leap into working in Web3 fully. And I joined Zilliqa in March last year. Zilliqa is an L1 blockchain with a very strong focus on sports and entertainment. So it was a really good fit for me. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, I also started the Fanzone podcast, where me and my co-host Joe interview builders of Web3 sports projects. So yeah, all in all, it's been a lot's changed in the last few years, but it's been a really great period. Definitely the most exciting part of my career so far.
I mean, and we are excited also about we're about to tell more, right? So I'm curious to hear more about, like, how do you unite all those concepts? So blockchain, sports, and gaming and loyalty program. How do they all come together and improve user experience?
Yeah, so I think it comes back to the fan or the gamer, okay, and I think actually the experience of fans and gamers have one important similar thing in common, and I believe it's that their loyalty is not really rewarded or not rewarded enough. And so, if you think about the experience of a gamer today, many of them will spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on skins or packs on FIFA or EA, whatever it's called now. And then a new season comes out or a new game comes out, and they just have to start from scratch. That effort, that loyalty, that passion isn't rewarded. Then, secondly, sports fans, it's a similar story where so I'm a member of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in the UK. I spend something like £50 a year to be a member, and that gives me little more than the permission to enter a digital queue that is about as big as the queue to get Glastonbury tickets or whatever, just so that I can buy really overpriced tickets to a match, right? That's massively oversubscribed, and you very much feel taken for granted. And I believe why those things exist the way they do is because the power in these industries is centralized fundamentally. In gaming, it's centralized with the AAA publishers, and in sports, it's very much centralized around a handful of major brands, major federations, perhaps even major players in some cases may have the power, but the power's never with the fans, right? And I believe that, and despite the bear market and like all the recent news, I still believe that blockchain has the potential to really decentralize this power by rewarding fans and gamers more tangibly for the things that they're really passionate about, reward them for that loyalty. And eventually, I expect this to happen. I think some of those organizations will dig their heels in, they'll hold on to the old business models that they've relied on for so long. But I believe that anyone that does that will risk losing out to those that do embrace the Web3 ethos and actually rewards their fans and or gamers more tangibly. So that's how I see the whole thing coming together at a high level.
No, it's an interesting way to look at it. And like, so let's talk about like deeper, like, how does blockchain benefit fan loyalty programs, right? Can you share simple examples of where blockchain has successfully engaged and rewarded fans?
Yeah, I can. So I've been looking at this quite a lot because if you look at lots of pretty much any of the early experiments in Web3, particularly in sport, but also in gaming, they failed because in some respects they've not sort of wrapped the experience in a way that a fan or player can really like appreciate. It's not an experience they recognize. And if you're not a Web3 native, then you're not necessarily that interested in learning about decentralization or wallets or self-custody or any of that stuff. And so what we're looking at now is, okay, if this is all about rewarding fans and gamers for their loyalty, well, then loyalty schemes is a natural place to start, right? And I think there are three main benefits that blockchain technology can have to a loyalty scheme that are worth talking about. Like some people will list off 10 to 15 sort of abstract benefits, but I think there are three things that are really important. I think number one is all about incentivizing engagement. So we've looked at the loyalty industry as a whole. It's growing every year. The average US consumer, according to Boston Consultant Group, is a member of 17 loyalty schemes at this point in 2023. But the actual engagement per loyalty scheme is going down. That's partly because there's so many, but it's also because they're either boring or you can't really spend the tokens on the things you would like to, or like you sign up expecting one thing and you get something else. And so by tokenizing the points and effectively adding tangible value to the points themselves, you can really incentivize engagement in a way that's completely supercharged compared to Web 2. We've already seen this in one of the loyalty schemes we've launched. It's called the Pride. It's been launched with an esports team called Mad Lions. And within sort of minutes of that scheme launching, you've got people signing up and going absolutely crazy, like completing all of the quests, really like loving the gamified element of it, like knowing that they're going to be tangibly rewarded at the end of the day. So I think that's number one. Then number two, I think it's a really compelling proposition to be able to use NFTs to gate the really significant rewards for your super fans. So in any kind of community with a loyalty program, there are going to be like your top 1 or 2% of customers that really deserve to be rewarded. because they're spending lots of money with you, they're engaging with you every day, whatever it is. And I think that's really where NFTs can come in, because you can reward that customer with an NFT that gives them something that they can show their friends, they can display it, they can like demonstrate that they've not only that they are loyal, but that they've been rewarded for being loyal in this cool way, and they can show off this NFT to their friends that gets them this exclusive access that nobody else can get. And I think that's a better model, rather than making it like a prize draw where you've got a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning, I don't know, the opportunity to meet Lionel Messi, say. Why not just not give that opportunity to a normal fan? Let's actually gate it behind an NFT and open that up to just the super fans that really deserve it. I think that's really compelling. Probably an optional part, but I think that's important. And then the third point, which I've not seen a lot of people talk about, and I've not seen a lot of evidence of it yet, but I love the idea of being able to open up the loyalty ecosystem. And what I mean by that is, if you look at, say, Avios, it's probably one of the most well-known loyalty ecosystems. They'll claim that those Avios points are portable and you can send them somewhere else and you can use them on other websites. But the actual experience for a user is a lot more restricted than that. And it can be quite frustrating. And as a result, you end up with lots of points stranded on the loyalty scheme that never get spent. Now, if your loyalty points are tokenized, and it's on a open layer 1 blockchain like Zilliqa, then there's nothing stopping any project in the world coming along, building a decentralized application that has some utility with that token. So you could see how a loyalty program could start off in a just working with one organization, but then you could broaden it out to a whole ecosystem of partners as it becomes popular. And I think that is going to be super compelling. So I really think it's those three things that blockchain can really bring to fan loyalty plan programs. Sorry, remind me, what was the second part of your question?
I think you answered all of them, like, the first and the second, so there is no need to reiterate it.
Okay.
It actually brings us to the next, I would say, question and remark, because you brought up an interesting point that, like, the tokenization of the fan token, so to speak, and the overall rewarding system, right, is actually a bit potentially beneficial. However, there's an interesting report recently, from Sports Pro Media, where UK member of the parliament have raised concerns about the potential reputational damage and financial strains of fans as a result of athletes and sports teams selling blockchain-based digital products. Basically, he's not against tokens and NFTs, but there are objectively risks also, right? How to properly make sure
no point hiding away from that fact. That's what's led to where we are now. It's obviously arguable that a lot of that is down to the natural cycles that we see in crypto, and actually that's always going to happen in a bear market, and it's not necessarily specific to the projects that we're talking about here. But either way, fans lost money, and the government's responsibility is to kind of make sure that people are not being exploited. So I get it, but I think where my frustration comes in is that you read the report nodding your head, but then you also think, hang on, you're writing off the entire technology here as bad. And it's like the technology doesn't care what you use it for. The technology is a tool, and it's up for sports organizations and Web3 to do better. I think the sports organizations need to not just look at crypto as another sponsorship category that they can make some money from. They need to actually take it seriously as a fan engagement tool. And then on the Web3 side, we need to make sure that we're pushing forward like tokenomic models that are fair and that are not exploiting fans and not inevitably leading to big dumps in value. So there's clearly a lot more we can do, but it's frustrating that I do think this report will make at least sports organizations in the UK think twice about before they do a deal with a Web3 organization. But I hope it makes them think twice in a positive way, and it makes them think about how they can do it better, not whether they should do it at all. But I guess
right, and make sure that people don't lose, their funds, and they're only due through reputable organizations. So really hope that it's not gonna, like I would say, pause the innovation, right? And just a additional precaution. Now we have concluded the first part. We want to jump into the questions from the audience. There's a lot of questions already, so
is there okay?
Yeah, so we're gonna do blitz, so right now, I just want to be clear, you have 30 seconds up to maximum a minute for each question, okay? So
well, that's difficult. I'll try.
Well, listen, we believe in you. So question from YouTube. Can you share how blockchain might change the data analytics in sports and entertainment based on your IBM experience?
Sorry, I missed that. Change data analytics in sport.
Data analytics in sports
okay.
and entertainment.
Yeah, so I think blockchain wallet is going to become a really powerful CRM tool eventually, right? Like blockchain wallets are completely transparent. You can see everything that customer has been doing. You can see if they're a Man United fan, but also they might own a Nike NFT or they might own an Adidas NFT. And that is super powerful data that sports organizations just do not have at their fingertips today.
That's perfect. Another question. The partnership between Screamage and Cut recently showcased a blend of gaming and loyalty programs. How do you see this model evolving with blockchain?
Yeah, interesting question. I do see a lot of convergence across the two. Like the whole kind of play to earn wave was all about, oh, okay, wow, I can actually be paid for playing a game. I think that was probably a bit crude, a bit simplistic. I think taking more of a loyalty-based approach where you're not necessarily earning or like playing the game as a living, but you are being tangibly rewarded is definitely the way forward. So I think it's a positive step in the right direction.
Another question, with teams like San Jose Sharks accepting cryptocurrencies, what are the pros and cons of this shift in the sports industry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm less excited about the currency being used as a currency actually, and more excited about the things I've been talking about around loyalty. I think cons are obviously there's the potential for people to lose money, no getting away from that. But the pros are, as I've been saying, that fans can get more tangibly rewarded for what they're doing already, which is passionately supporting the teams that they love.
And a question from I want to say Twitter, now I have to say x.com, right? What impact could Ubisoft use of NFTs with Assassin's Creed have on the gaming industry at large? Ubisoft is probably the biggest right now, so it might be a fire starter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait until a AAA publisher really takes the lead and does this. I'd love it to be Grand Theft Auto. I love the idea of that having a fungible currency inside the game where I can go and rob a bank successfully in Grand Theft Auto and actually get real money out of it. That's kind of my personal dream. But yeah, there's no reason why the same couldn't apply in Assassin's Creed. But the place to start is around skins. There's already grey markets, particularly in games like CSGO, around trading skins. So putting those on a marketplace and making them NFTs is an absolute no-brainer, which is exactly what Zilliqa have done through their gaming division, Rolling Thunders, with our game Web3 War. So if you're interested in that, go and check it out.
That's beautiful. Another question from YouTube. What challenges might sports organizations face when trying to create innovative fan engagement platforms with blockchain?
Yeah, I'm finding myself speaking quickly, trying to do the 30 seconds thing. I think one really interesting challenge is that sports organizations always talk about their fan base and how huge it is. So Man United, for example, claim to have 1 billion fans, which is firstly impossible, but secondly, it's just followers, right? Like what they've really got is followers on platforms that they don't own, and they've got no data about these people, right? So actually the way to start is with what Man United have actually done, which is doing a free drop and starting a Discord or a Telegram or whatever it is, because you actually need a community that you in some ways own and that you can actually like engage with those fans. Today, sports orgs have just kind of handed that over to the social media platforms, and I think that's been a big mistake and has been a big part of how they've failed to embrace kind of the Web2 technology in some ways. So I think that's the place to start.
It's actually really interesting because another question is about the Web2 and difference in Web3. From YouTube, do you think that loyalty programs may be a thing of Web2 and there would be consequences of stretching your budget too far in Web3?
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of budget. I think loyalty schemes have become a really key part of many industries in terms of how you need to keep customers engaged, keep them loyal, keep them coming back. And I believe Web3 just adds an extra layer to that. I think, as I've said, I think there's various benefits that just make it better for the user. And ultimately, that will be better for the brand that embraces it as well. Maybe not from day one. Maybe it costs you money initially, but I think eventually you lose out to your competition if you don't, who will embrace this technology if you don't.
Mm-hmm. How do you perceive the evolution of token economies in the gaming sector, and how is Zilliqa positioning itself in this landscape?
Yeah, so tokenomics is really hard, right? I think maybe one thing that people need to understand about tokenomics, that unless you're deep in the space is not obvious, is that you absolutely need to create ways for the token to be spent, right? That's not always clear, but you need your token to have enough utility so that the demand is high enough, and that it's not just all about constantly having to attract new users, because effectively that is just a Ponzi scheme. Eventually you run out of new users, and the inflationary nature of the token catches up with you. So what usually happens is you launch, maybe you launch 500,000 tokens, 1 million tokens on day one, but then eventually you're going to get to like 40, 50 million tokens, right? Someone's got to eat up that supply. There needs to be demand to eat up that supply. It's just simple economics, forget tokenomics. And I think that's not well understood in by gamers or fans, and that kind of leads to a lot of people getting burnt and buying things with the expectation that it might go to the moon, when that in reality that's very unlikely to happen.
There's an interesting question. How is blockchain making loyalty programs in sports more transparent and trustworthy? Is Zilli still the best? And does the Galaxy hack, if we can call it that, concern you?
So I think I think the way that it makes them more transparent is maybe not everybody understands them, but what good looks like is there's a white paper that explains exactly how the tokenomics works. There's a blockchain where like there's a smart contract that's publicly available on the internet. Everybody can go and see it. There are blockchain wallets that are completely transparent. You can see what's happening in those wallets, right? So if you're technical enough and interested enough, then that transparency and trust exists. Yes, there are like smart contracts get hacked. All of this stuff is still new, and it's emerging technology, but like it's just a matter of time. It will get safer. It will get more secure. The more people that use it and engage in this stuff, the quicker that will happen. Nobody's suggesting that you should put $10,000 or like a high portion of your net worth in a loyalty scheme today. So why would you do that in Web3, right? Like you shouldn't be putting in more money than you can afford to lose. But I would encourage everyone who's interested to, go and play and put a little bit of money in, and maybe don't expect to come out with any money, but just expect to learn and see that as a fee that you pay for education.
That's a tough advice, but I appreciate it. A question from LinkedIn. NBA Top Shots moments have brought NFTs to the forefront, especially with six-figure price tags. How do you see such digital collectibles influencing the sports industry, especially in terms of fan engagement and monetization opportunities? Well, you talked about it a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah, so it's the first thing I'll say is it's easier in America. So the way that the IP rights work in NBA, NFL, MLB is it's ironically it's a lot more centralized, and that makes it easier to actually deliver a project like NBA Top Shots. In Europe and other places around the world, the rights landscape is a bit more fractured, and that makes it difficult to deliver this kind of dream project like NBA Top Shot, where you can get access to the exact content that you want after every game and put it straight on the market. But that said, all sports organizations have some kind of IP. And the winners are the ones that look at the IP that they've got, look at the data that they've got, and put those things together in an intelligent way to create something really unique that fans can collect. The popular example that often gets quoted that I like is AO Art Ball from the Australian Open in tennis, which was where they took the Hawkeye data that they had from the tennis matches and used that to generate art that basically represented specific shots. Now that's like really intelligent. They didn't infringe on any player IP, didn't have to worry, they didn't have to go and speak to Djokovic's agent and negotiate a deal, right? But you can still go and buy a shot that Djokovic played, or maybe it's a point, I can't remember, in the final of that tournament, right? And you can still own that moment. And I think that's what it comes down to, is sort of being intelligent about how you use the data and the IP that you do have available to create moments that fans actually want to own.
No, I agreed. And last question from X.com. In your opinion, what is the #1 challenge that has to be toppled in the context of user experience and interface when it comes to crypto and NFTs?
Yeah, user experience is a huge challenge. And I think I mentioned it earlier, that the real problem we've got in sports and entertainment is the 99% of the users are not interested in downloading a wallet. They're not interested in self-custody. They don't care that this stuff's on the blockchain. They're only interested in the value that it can deliver. So at least in the interim, before this stuff becomes more mainstream, we need to find ways to implement solutions where users can create their own wallet just by signing up with an email. And yes, maybe somebody else has to look after that wallet. Maybe they can take custody of their assets at some point in the future once they're educated. But even just removing that simple step can make a significant difference. Then the second point is around actually purchasing the stuff. Like, you just need to be able to do it with a credit card. Like, as soon as you're forcing somebody to buy some random token they've never heard of, to swap for another token, or to purchase on an NFT, you've just lost like a huge percentage of your potential users already. So I would love to see more effort spent. And then these solutions exist today, by the way. It's not that it's impossible, but it's that the people that create Web3
Really appreciate your time, appreciate your knowledge, Tom. Like, we want to wrap it up because, our model, so to speak, our concept is like 30 minutes straight to the point on like no water, only the gist of it. I think you brought a lot of interesting facts today, so I'll leave our guests to analyze it. Where they can find you, maybe if they have some more questions. Twitter, LinkedIn. You mentioned that Twitter you're not that fan of, right? But
no, I'm too scared of the trolls for Twitter. So yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Please listen into the Fan Zone podcast, where we speak to the Web3 builders. Like, we had Alex Dreyfus from Socios recently, and we've got some great guests coming up. Also go and play Web3 War. It's a first-person shooter game that's been launched by Rolling Thunders, a Zilliqa company. You can download and play that now before the token's introduced. Be a good time to go and play. And please join the Pride, which is Mad Lions, our esports partners' new loyalty program. So that's 3 ways for you to get in touch with me and support what we're doing.
Amazing. So yeah, all the placements in one shot. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, that was subtle, wasn't it?
Thank you so much, Tom. Like, I like your perspective. I like the way you work, guys, and like really appreciate you taking your time. Thank you so much for our listeners, and we'll see you exactly in 2 weeks. And you know where to find Tom, and you know where to find us. Have a great weekend. All right.
Great. Thanks very much.
It's okay. We understand.
No worries.